everyone, it's Stephanie here and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be creating 3 different cards. They're all going to be birthday related and we're going to be using the same supplies on each card, but we're going to change how we create them so they all have a little bit of a different look. So I have the Over the Rainbow paper pad as well as the Birthday Candles Die-namics, and I've already went ahead and die cut some of the candles from some panels of white cardstock that measure 4 inches by 5 1/4. So the thing I love about these candles is that they all die cut together, so you don't have to worry about spacing them or anything. They're going to die cut perfectly spaced apart every time. And you end up with 5 different candles when you do this. Now for one of the cards, I wanted to actually have 7 candles. So I'm just going to show you quickly how I went about die cutting that. I did the 5 original candles first, and then what I did is I just took my die and I shifted it down in the open area where I had already die cut it, and the die is going to kind of fit back into those openings. So I just moved it far enough down so that I would have 2 additional candles on the left-hand side, and I'm just going to run this back through my die cutting machine, and it's going to die cut those 2 additional candles, and where it's overlapping, it's just going to already be in that open area, so it's not going to affect the original 5. Okay, so since we have this one on screen, let's go ahead and start to assemble this card. I've already die cut a bunch of candles from the Over the Rainbow paper pad, and I've taken all of the polka dot solid color ones, and I've used those to die cut the candles. I'm just going to continue to die cut them as I need them because I wasn't really sure exactly what I was going to do with each card as I was going. I just had a general idea in mind. For this first card, we're going to do the die cut inlay technique. So we're going to take all of the colored candles and we're going to put them back into the openings that we've die cut on the panel. To do this very quickly, what I like to do is take a piece of computer paper, which is really thin paper, and fully cover the front of it with adhesive and then adhere it to the back of the panel. When you do this, it lets that exposed adhesive show through the front, and we can easily add those candles in there and they're all going to stick down into the openings. I love this kind of design because all of the layers on the card end up the same level. It's completely flat. You don't have any dimension at all. You can see as I added those candles back in that we only have 6 different colors and we have 7 actual candles. So I have one of them there that I didn't add the pattern paper into. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use one of the white candles and I'm going to stamp a sentiment on it. The Biddy Birthday Wishes stamp set has some really great sentiments that are small enough to fit on this candle. So I'm going to use some black ink and I'm going to stamp the happy birthday sentiment directly onto the candle. Then I'm going to take that white candle and I'm going to insert it into that last opening. And it's just going to give us a really cool look where we have the full rainbow of colors in all of the candles, but in one of them we have a stamped sentiment. I just think it's a really fun and unexpected design. And then the last thing we need to do to finish this card is add the little flame detail to the top of the candles. I'm going to use the little hearts that coordinate with this die set. I've die cut them from silver sparkle cardstock and I'm just adhering them above each of the candles directly onto the panel. And I'm using liquid glue and my tweezers to do that. I find my fingers kind of get in the way, so I definitely prefer tweezers to do any small little things like this. So I'm just going to press down and make sure they're all fully adhered, and then once I have that done, we have our first panel complete. We have this really fun rainbow design. We have a completely flat panel because we've done the die cut inlay technique, and then we have that really cool sentiment stamped on the candle. Okay, so now we can move on to the second card. So for this one here, I have the panel where I've die cut the 5 candles straight across on the panel, and we're doing a vertical card. And what I'm going to do is adhere this panel directly to my card base. I'm going to put adhesive on the back, and I'm also going to put adhesive on the card base where the candles are going to overlap, because once again, we are going to add our candles into the openings. But this time, rather than do it all one layer, we're going to actually layer the candles and put a bunch of them one on top of another to make this one a little bit dimensional. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all of these white candles that I've die cut and I'm going to put them into the opening so that I have a base layer of candles first. And then I'm going to take my liquid glue and I'm going to add adhesive to each of the candles. And I'm just going to keep adhering candles one on top of another until I get them the dimension that I want. This is completely personal preference. If you just want to have it kind of raised off of the card, I would do 1 or 2 layers. If you want to have it super dimensional, then I would probably do like 4 to 5 layers. I did 3 layers of white. I didn't show all of them being glued on because it took a little while to add them all on there, but I did 3 full layers, and then I also cut out all of the colored candles because we're going to add those to the top. So once I've completed the white layers, I'm going to use the same liquid glue and I'm going to add it to the colored candles, and I'm just going to go across and add all of these onto the panel. Now I don't have enough candles to do all 6 colors, so I decided to start with the pink and go all the way through to the blue and leave the purple one off this design. You'll see on the last card that we change that up and we go the other direction and leave the pink off and add the purple. So I'm just continuing to add all of the candles on here until I have all of the colored ones on top of those stacks of white ones that we've created. And once we have them all on there, then we have this really cool dimension that we've created by stacking the white die cuts on top of one another. You can see kind of when I tilt it there that we have that subtle dimension, and it just looks really cool with the candle design. My original idea for the sentiment on this card was to use a sentiment banner, but I decided I wanted to stamp the sentiment directly on the card. So I did use my Missy to make sure I didn't mess it up since we'd already done all of that candle work, and I just stamped another sentiment from Biddy Birthday Wishes in black ink directly under the candles. Okay, so let's go ahead now and work on the third card. I definitely think I saved the best for last. This is the card that I ended up loving the most. So what I'm going to do first is add a piece of text paper to my card base. You can see I just added it on there. And this is just going to be on the card base so that we can adhere the candles to it. I have our panel that we've already cut the candles out of, and I'm just positioning it onto the card where I'm going to put it when the card is finished, and I'm holding it in place with repositionable tape. This is going to allow me to insert all of the candles into the openings onto that text paper that we've added underneath of the panel. I'm just going to use liquid glue the same as I did on the first two cards, and I'm going to put all of the candles back into those openings, making sure that I'm not gluing them anywhere near the panel because I do want to lift that off. So I'm just going to very carefully remove that tape, take that top layer off, and now we have all of our candles positioned exactly where we need them so that we can layer the panel on top of them. And the reason I did it this way is I want to have the panel raised off of the card and I want to have the candles inset. So I've covered the entire back of that panel with foam adhesive and I've positioned it right over top of where we've added those candles. And you can see now that the candles go down inside of those openings and the panel is raised off of the card. For this one, I am going to do a sentiment strip, so I'm going to stamp out a sentiment onto black cardstock with Versamark ink, and then I'm going to add embossing powder directly over top of that and heat set it with my heat tool. I'm going to die cut it with the Skinny Strips Die-namics, and I'm going to layer it onto the candle so that it's going in the same direction as that diagonal formation. I did trim down the banner on the left-hand side so that it would fit nicely along the edge of the card, and then I just put liquid glue on the back of it, and I'm just going to layer it directly over top and adhere it down. And once I have that done, all we have left to do now is add our first card that we originally created to a card base since I didn't have it on one. And then I'm also going to finish the other two cards by adding the little hearts to the top of those as well. I decided to keep them all the same and use the silver sparkle hearts for each of them. And I did layer them just one layer on each of the card designs. And then once I have that done, we have 3 different cards that we've created using the same die set and the same stamp set. But we have 3 completely different looks because we've die cut them differently. We've done the inlay technique a little bit differently so that we have one flat card, one dimensional card, and one card where the panel's dimensional and the candles are inset in the card. So I hope today's video gave you some ideas on different ways that you can use different dies to create different looks even though you're using the same supplies. As always, I appreciate you being here for another video and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.